Well guys, this is not the intro that I expected to make for this video. We had really high hopes for this being a video all about us getting our permit approved on an absolute dream project of Molly and I's. Ever since we moved into this house that we bought 3 years ago, we bought it specifically because we dreamed of building our own workshop on the property one day, and we finally saved up enough money to start that project, figured out where we wanted it to go, and I got a phone call this week that put a big damper on that project. So this video is going to start out with us seeming very optimistic, but no, shortly into it, we're going to receive a phone call that's going to change that. And let this be a warning to all those telemarketers and scammers. I got freedom on my right shoulder and Aura on my left shoulder this week, and there won't be no more of that funny business happening because I don't think I can handle one more bad phone call this week, Molly. So thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this week's video. The deal is there's all these data broker sites that are selling your information to the highest bidder online, and that is super frustrating. It seems like a major violation of our privacy, but thankfully Aura is out there finding all these data broker sites with your information on it and automatically submitting an opt-out request on your behalf. This not only helps reduce the amount of spam text and calls you get, but it also helps make it much more difficult for hackers to find and use this information to access things like your social media accounts or worse, your bank accounts. Plus you'll also get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several apps. It's super easy to set up, and best of all, you get everything at one affordable price. We value our privacy and we also value yours. So if you're interested, you can go to aura.com/woodbrew where you can get a 2-week free trial for signing up. There's also a link in the description below. Thanks, Aura, for sponsoring this week's video. We're trying to keep this project as budget friendly as possible, and because of that, I'm trying to rent as little equipment as humanly possible. And so we're gonna do something today that really should be done with the mini excavator, but we're gonna do it with our tractor and hopefully it works. We need to get this whole tree and stump out. It's about a 12-inch diameter oak tree, and it needs to go. It rained super hard last night, all night long, so it's our best chance right now, even though it's super windy, to try to get this thing pushed over while the ground is soft. Just have to go for it. Well, she's still hanging on there, but she's moving quite a bit, so I feel pretty confident we can actually do this. And I've got a secret weapon, which is this stump grinder behind me. So I'm gonna go in and cut, just sort of press straight down and cut some of these roots all around the tree, and then I think it'll just push right over.
We should have done this sooner. Look how open it is.
Yep, that worked like a charm. I don't think the stump grinder was meant to do that, but it worked really, really well for it. Wow, all right.
New feature unlocked.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how shallow these are?
Yeah.
Compared to a pine tree. A pine tree of that size would have a root that's probably 4 to 6 feet in the ground. It's pretty shallow. So I don't know how well it'll work with a pine tree, but works pretty good for that. All right, Molly, that went pretty darn well. Things are cleared out, got the stump out. Now it's time to move on to these two much larger trees, and it is way too windy to take the full tree on the right. But we're gonna try and take down one of these ones that the power company already took partially down. and it's massive. It is like 38 or something inches in diameter. This is a 24-inch bar. Math doesn't add up. And I want to cut it as low as humanly possible because I want to attempt to mill it up, and so I want to waste as little of the wood as
Will it
as
fit
possible.
on the mill?
No,
Oh.
but I got a plan.
Okay.
I got a plan. This might turn into this might turn into something. I don't
Oh
know.
no.
I think I've got this thing pretty much cut all the way through. I've got a relief cut on the front here to give it more room to hinge over and fall so it doesn't just go and then stop when that actually closes. We're gonna see if we can just wedge it over instead of using the tractor.
I'm sorry.
That's dumb. Let's use the tractor.
I was about to say.
We're at 36 inches. Let's see what our biggest slab is going to be. 36 inches, and then it's going to get huge up there. Dang, that's 58 inches.
Oh.
Yeah, that might be a problem. I got a friend with a chainsaw mill, but I don't know if he has one that big. That's big. You know, it's been a couple days since Molly and I got that phone call. We've been back and forth to the zoning department and the building department, and we've got basically two options, but we're about to get into that. But I want to tell you about what we proposed and why it got denied. It'd mean the world to Molly and I if you guys would consider subscribing if you haven't already, or liking or commenting down below this video, because we're having one of those weeks and we could use a good smiling. Y'all absolutely killed it on the last video. We had such positive feedback and the video did so well, so we wanted to say thank you very much, and I'll show you what we're up to here. So as you come down our driveway here, this is what's probably going to be a multi-year project. Our goal was to have right over here to our left as you pull in, to have a 4-car garage, carport shop, whatever you want to call it, as you pull in here. We thought that was the best place to put it because it had the least amount of site work. It also would be multi-use and be usable for potentially future people who bought this home. There's a lot of reasons why we liked having it right here. I say it's a multi-year project because Molly and I are trying our hardest to do this with cash, and what we have so far is enough to do the site work and to put the entire roof up. So that was really our only goal, was to get all the site work done, get a gravel floor put in this thing and a roof up, and then when we saved up a chunk of more money, we'd do some concrete, and then eventually we would actually close it in and it would be, you know, a shop. But who knows when that'll be. We just wanted to get started, you know? Sometimes you just have to get started with big projects like this. So I spent a ton of time creating all... Yo, calm down, brother. So I spent a ton of time stressing over getting all the details right in the permit application to try to reduce the friction as much as humanly possible. I went super far out of my way to get all of that documents lined up. We submitted them, talked to the clerk. She said, all this looks awesome. We'll be back to you in a few days. It usually takes 5 to 7 business days to get this approved. So here lies the problem. Wasn't any problem with the building, or at least there hasn't been so far, the use or anything like that. It was when it went to zoning was an issue. So about a year ago, and just very recently this was implemented, there was a vote to implement some form of light zoning to our area. And that light zoning, unfortunately, deep down in the documents had a clause that says something to the effect of there can't be a single accessory structure or building or anything in front of a home. And well, frankly, that's a problem for a lot of people where we live. Now, I must say that everyone at the zoning department that I spoke with was absolutely phenomenal, very actually apologetic that this was happening, and it seems to be an issue that is reoccurring quite often, frequently, since this has been implemented. And our only option really is to get a variance to have us be able to put this building where we want it. The problem is that the variance currently takes approximately 6 weeks to get into a meeting with the board, and then you also have to pay a fee on top of that. And well, I have a very pregnant wife, and this project was our hope that we would get this project done well before the baby came. And if we were to go the variance route, which I feel like we should be able to get this thing approved, the problem is that if it doesn't get approved, then we're 6 weeks behind, and the alternate location to put this building is going to take at least another 6 weeks to prep. So we would be 12 weeks behind, which puts Molly being very pregnant when we're even just getting started building this building. So the variance option really isn't a good option for us. Our second option was to move the building behind the house and just avoid this chaos, hopefully. And all that sounds great. The only problem is that literally every spot that makes any sense at all behind our house has a lot of trees, which means significantly more site work, which means significantly more money. And this whole project we're trying to do affordably and relatively quickly, since, again, Molly is pregnant. So we're in sort of a dilemma, but it sounds like Molly and I are going to shoot for the latter and move the building to our less desirable location to hopefully speed this project up and to run into less hurdles as we continue.
What's really frustrating about this whole thing is we spent the good part of a year kind of going back and forth. Should we put it up in front of the house or should we go in the back of the house? And it was driving both of us crazy because each week it was a different decision. And we finally made that decision to put it in front of the house, and now that can't even happen.
Well, it can't without a variance. And it sounds like the variance is going to be potentially a hassle and lead to nowhere, which is unfortunate. I will say, though, guys, that everything happens for a reason. Molly and I have a lot of faith in God that this is happening for a reason, and that for some reason it needed to go in the back. And we believe that, and it makes it easier. But I will say, too, that I'm very grateful at how everyone at the city and the zoning, or the county zoning and the building department handled this, because they could have made this be way worse for us by just simply not having a good attitude, or just, no
remorse.
Yeah, just oftentimes when you deal with people in those positions, they're very monotone, they don't appear to care about their job, and they just love delivering bad news, it sounds like. And this couldn't have been any further from that. Everyone that we spoke to was very nice, even very understanding and apologetic, and were trying to help us in every way they could to make this be a reality. And they have obviously given us the option of a variance, which, again, I think we're probably not going to go down that route, but that's where we sit. We're probably going to have to move this project. It's going to cost us a lot more money, and it's going to take a lot longer.
But that just means more content for you.
Yeah, maybe it means renting a mini excavator even, which is going to, man, Molly, the cost, I can just see the cost of my brain going up, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to work out no matter what.
Don't.
Honey.
Don't. Just gagging a little bit.
You gonna make it?
I hope so.
Goodness.
Literally, water's coming out of my eyes.
You're doing great, sweetie. I know it's rough sometimes.
Yeah. It's all for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're still waiting on the final permit approval, but the new proposed location for the shop is right behind me, and there is a lot of junk in the way, so we're just gonna clean that up, and hopefully maybe by the end of this video we'll know that that spot is approved and we can actually, get started working on this project. But until then, we got to do something, got to make the best of what we got going on. So let's get this cleaned up.
Those are our fence boards that Dylan built a while back, so we can build a fence for the fur babies. And like with everything else, we'll build it when we have some time, but we do need a fence real bad, especially before this baby comes. I also feel like I can't really help out a ton because it's all heavy stuff and almost pointless for me to do it by hand when we have the tractor.
That feels like a big win, huh?
Look better.
A lot better.
Good job.
Good job, sweetheart. Well, it's honestly been a bit of a bummer of a week, but Molly, we finished off strong by creating a nice, fresh sort of palette for where hopefully the shop is going to go, barring the permit approval, which
Still haven't heard back from.
yeah, we're still waiting on. So that'll have to wait until next week's video to see whether or not the permit gets approved. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing so that you don't miss that video. You can actually click this button right here. And well, I guess that's all we got for y'all. So we'll see you in the next one. Peace.